Well, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host, as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am joined by Malcolm Critcher for a game of Blister City. Malcolm is the creative director at Brink Media and the host of This is Propaganda. This is Propaganda is a nonfiction podcast revealing the hidden influence of propaganda all around us and how it continues to profoundly shape our culture today. The podcast explores propaganda's roots around World War I, all the way through its more modern iterations where it's been strategically rebranded as public relations and marketing. The thing is, genuinely, this podcast is so fascinating. Subject matter, delivery, presentation, I was gripped listening to every single episode of This is Propaganda. I think it is genuinely a must-listen series. I think it's got so many ideas in it that you just gotta sit with and really unpack that I think you really owe it to yourself to really sit down, dive in, and cruise through the backlog. You can find more information about This is Propaganda at thisispropaganda.show or check the show notes for more information. Blister City is a game about taking back Mars from the fascists who control it. The folks who ruin Mars have names and addresses. You have a crowbar and a dream. Make them pay. That's it. That's the pitch. I don't have anything to add to that other than this game is awesome, and you can find it at keeganexe.itch.io or check the show notes for more information. And with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this recording all day. I'm sitting down with Malcolm Critcher. Malcolm, thanks so much for coming on Party of One.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I am so fucking thrilled for today's game. This is going to be such a cool story, experience, conversation. But at the top of things, before we dive in and talk about the game that we're playing, why don't you take a moment and let our lovely listeners at home know about what you've got going on that you might want them to know about?
Sure. Hello, lovely listeners. I'm Malcolm. I'm a podcaster, music video director, cultural theorist, and I'm also the partner at Brink Media Group, where I serve as the creative director. It's an entertainment company with an agency at the heart of it. We have a film distribution wing. We've got a nonprofit. We do tons of stuff. Most recently, we launched a podcast network that distributed a podcast I co-created called This is Propaganda, where we dissect and discuss government and corporate propaganda's impact on contemporary culture, pretty focused on media literacy and how the culture war we're having today is kind of being accelerated by and aggregated by commercials.
The first episode of This is Propaganda left me I put it on and I was listening to it where I listen to podcasts, which is when I'm out running errands.
Sure.
And I almost immediately realized that was a mistake only because the first episode was so good. I found myself standing breathless in a grocery store,
incredible.
More captivated by there's the line in the first episode as somebody that has worked in marketing for almost 2 decades where he say we are propagandists, which is to say that we work for a marketing and PR company, and it stopped me in my tracks, and it was truly one of those things where everything about it, the storytelling and the historical clips and the contextualizing of it all, it knocked me off my feet, and I the memory of being frozen at a grocery store is locked in my brain with how
Incredible.
captivated I was.
That's the goal. I would say we set out with the intention of saying, can we make someone fall to their knees in a Wawa and say everything I know about information has been turned upside down?
Mission accomplished. It was standing in front of broccoli. The vision of broccoli is frozen in my brain of just going shit. Oh my, and hearing the clips of the godfather of propaganda saying well, yeah, we realized that propaganda has developed a bad reputation, and so we rebranded it as PR, as public relations. I was oh my. It does such a good job of capturing the story of the way that change took place, and the both extremely insidious and also overwhelmingly mundane nature of it all.
Thank you. I do really appreciate it. I mean, I think when we set out to make it, there were a lot of conversations around where it would fall within the full aesthetic zeitgeist of podcasts, from more parasocial stuff you can listen to while you're shopping or on public transit, all the way over to, something more like Serial or This American Life that's a bit more dense and produced. And, I come from a very, very lengthy background in filmmaking and directing film professionally. It's kind of how I got my start and moved into making propaganda for a living. And so it felt like a natural course of kind of interesting from an artistic standpoint, just how liberating not having to worry about going and shooting everything was. It's cheap to find sounds, you know?
It's real. I mean, there's a reason that we are an audio only podcast, and we have been for 9 years, and it's because I didn't want to. There's the actual backstage reason, which is that like it is easier for us to get to an emotionally vulnerable place if we're not on camera, but also I just like not having to worry about like setting up my camera and lighting my space. You know,
Yeah.
if I want to record a podcast in a robe, I'm going to record a podcast in a robe, and like the magic of audio is that it lets me do that.
Yeah, yeah. It was a blast to make. I'm really, really excited to make more of them. We're definitely very, very seriously. So for those who haven't listened yet, you should. But it's a season. It's a full contained, 5-episode arc that kind of catalogs from exiting World War I, how the tools and techniques of propaganda merging with contemporary psychology create this new playground for shifting behaviors and beliefs, and how that goes on to inform what all of us consider pretty much just the standard baseline of consumer marketing. And season 1 tracks from the genesis of that with Edward Bernays all the way through to the Barbie movie, Liquid Death Water, the rise of Donald Trump, these slow gestations and reverberations that you can see and very clearly track back to when those early decisions were made to start bringing the tools of World War I propaganda into a non-wartime economy to sell items and goods. The second season, we're looking at where we go next and where we want to go from there. I'm really, really excited to dive into it, though, and explore some more conversational stuff. I've been a guest on a few podcasts, and I'm really interested in getting more into that. I did a lot of documentaries prior to moving fully into marketing, and so I love a good conversation. I love trying to pull and thread a story together through just talking to someone interesting.
And in fact, speaking of pulling a story out by having a conversation with someone interesting, we've got a game in front of us today that I think really nicely ties into everything that we've been talking about. We've got Blister City here, and Blister City, the people who destroyed Mars have names and addresses. You have a crowbar and a dream. Make them pay. Sometimes a game's pitch is just so simple and good that like I don't need to say anything else. So yeah, we're going to take the fight to someone that has ruined the city. The city of Blister City, formerly Ambition City, a Martian paradise that, well, once upon a time was created with the best of intentions, and that since then has been, the air has been poisoned. Blister City is the last remaining remnant of livable space on the surface of Mars, and massive corporate interests and overpowering like the what's even the words? I'm trying to find the words here. Overwhelmingly, that's the word I'm looking for. Overwhelmingly powerful factions work together to advance their interest, oftentimes leaving human lives and AI lives in their wake. Which sucks. And we're going to do something about that in our own small way here today. So I want to ask you at the top of, before we kick off the game, like, what is it about the game in particular that's got you excited? What are you looking forward to? What are the themes that you want to like explore and play? Like, what are you bringing to the table here for the game here this week?
I think a lot of the time when we think about late stage capitalism and we look past it, we acknowledge the insane nuance of living in the system we live in. And the moral relativity of that with this, well, there's no way to affect change. There's no way out. The corpse always win. And I really, really liked this reimagining of cyberpunk that said, no, within a system of late stage capitalism, yes, it's nuanced. Yes, it's complicated. Yes, you are at once, feeding and being consumed by the beast. But there are simple things that can be done to make a positive impact. To me, what stood out about this game is it's basically, the fundamental tenets of anarchism and mutual aid being enacted on a cyberpunk landscape. I think that's a very, very fun world to play in.
I completely agree. And like, it is for me, and like, the game is very specific about this. The genre of the game is explicitly stated to be blisterpunk, which the game states as cyberpunk without the purposeful watering down of punk themes like direct action, DIY ethics, anti-authoritarianism. I completely agree. Like, that is to me oftentimes the frustrating thing, especially like with, cyberpunk, sci-fi, any kind of punk entertainment or media, is that oftentimes that there's a cynicism that is often rooted in the genre as a whole that is whatever you do is going to be broken. Like anything you accomplish is going to be a Pyrrhic victory at best, and like oftentimes focused exclusively on like if you are not if you are not single-handedly, detonating the bomb that tears down the entire system, that no action you can take is going to have value. And like a game that prioritizes real tangible aid on a like community level and says that like you said, like there are things that you can do and there are radical actions that you can take that matter, even if they are not, rocket, blasting. Even if you are not the character in the Running Man flying a plane into the corporate headquarters and killing everyone involved, like your actions matter, and like the impact you have on the revolution matters is, I think, really important to me. And that is kind of the vibe that I'm chasing after today, right? Like this is a system that is going to break us in a lot of ways, but that does not mean that the things that we do will not have a lasting impact that outlives the actions our characters take.
Well, hopefully that'll motivate some of the decisions my character has to make, because I built someone who's maybe a little bit more on the flying a building into a building side of things.
I love it. In fact, on that note, why don't introduce your character, and then we'll start to talk a little bit about like the mission that your character is going to undertake, and we'll kind of determine who you're working for and what faction actions or what like mission you've been tasked with before I decide which of the 3 characters I've created I'm going to play today.
All right. I wrote a little thing for this, so I'm just going to read it.
Yeah.
If the profoundly tepid voice of Kyle Crystal slowly saying, "And remember, it takes all of us to turn a planet into a home," isn't seared into your amygdala, you aren't really from Ambition. Publicly, Kyle Crystal is the host of Ambition's most popular radio call-in program, Our Big Red Home. Offering advice on love, loss, and everything in between, he occupies a place in the hearts of most of Ambition's mid and upper city dwellers, between the father they never had and the priest they never knew they needed. The ruling elite of Ambition see Crystal as a useful puppet. He's a relatively innocuous opiate for the masses, offering vague platitudes as an outlet for their pain and suffering, and ultimately releasing the pressure valve just enough to keep the engine running. Joke's on them. Crystal saw the game for what it was early on, and recognized that if he wanted any shot at making them pay, he needed to play the part. And he's played it well. So well, in fact, that privately he's the financier behind Swamp Girl Radio, and funnels most of his money into what have become increasingly extreme acts of domestic terrorism targeting the 1%. On the radio, it may sound like he's got it all together, but behind the mic, you find a balding, middle-aged man, chain-smoking as he paces circles around an increasingly large stockpile of homemade explosives. How much longer can Crystal balance the vague liberal platitudes of Dr. Jekyll with the increasingly polarizing political violence of Mr. Hyde? No one knows, least of all himself.
Yes. Okay.
Pronouns he, him.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm stoked. Okay. Fuck yes. Good. I'm taking a moment to just like live in the space of being excited to watch this go down. So, your character at the start of the game has an allegiance to a faction within Blister City. What is the faction that you have a good working relationship with, and who within that organization do you specifically have the closest relationship with? Who have you worked with in the past?
So I went with the Enterprise Alliance as the NPC. So I got 2 when I was rolling my character. 2 different what is the term for the
factions?
Factions.
You have 2 renown options.
Yeah. So I had my Enterprise Alliance NPC as my talent handler, and I was thinking like Matt McConaughey from Tropic Thunder vibes.
That's great.
For him.
That's really good.
And then my AresNet NPC as my just like bomb maker. And I was thinking like Alex Jones, but instead like an eco-terrorist. Like he loves the environment of Mars, and that's what he makes bombs to. He wants to like de-terraform Mars, but is still as unhinged as, Bohemian Grove era Alex Jones.
I like that.
Early George W. Bush administration Alex Jones vibes.
That's great. I'm into this. Okay. Great. Do you have a name in mind for either of these characters? I'm looking at these factions and I'm going to start to like brainstorm.
Talent handler. How about let's look up how about Chris Gambino.
Chris Gambino is really good.
And how about Cole Oppenheimer for the bomb maker?
Cole Oppenheimer is very good. Okay. So what's the faction that you said Cole is associated with? You said
Ares Nets. I believe they're like the gun runners who live on the edge of, like, they live outside the city.
Yeah. They are the builders of weapons of mass destruction.
Yes.
And are the quietly building. Okay, good. I think I want to. You know what? Actually, I'm looking at the two factions that you've got relationships with, and I think that the really juicy option is to put these two against one another, specifically because I think there's something very compelling in these two working at odds with one another.
I mean, I tried to make them both kind of representative of like the worlds I'm going to have to choose between.
Yeah.
Do I want to be embraced by the masses as, I mean, I guess there's like three paths, right? There's the one where I get to just go like live a life of comfort in a basically like C-list celebrity neo-lib world where I shake hands at galas. I can die in an insane, unhinged, fiery ball of glory, or I can find some way to do some kind of like network monologue where I'm like, I want you to get up.
Yep.
I want you to get up to the window and yell. Like, it's like those are kind of the three options before me. And I like that they both are kind of like, opposed.
Okay, I think I know what I want the mission to be, and I know how I want you to receive it. And in fact, I'm gonna throw, I'm gonna flip the script a little bit, because I think that what it is you have, there is something happening that I think you have the opportunity, or your character is going to have the opportunity to stop very specifically.
Okay.
I think I was like, which of these factions is going to hire you? And I think that the answer is a little bit both and a little bit neither at the same time. I think that you get a call from Gambino. Like, you get a call from your manager with a very exciting opportunity. He comes on and he basically tells you, I think like insists on taking you out to lunch. So like your meeting happens at, where would Chris Gambino take you? It is a Gene steak restaurant. He insists on like the genetic steak like
sure
slab meat that is mass produced, because he doesn't take you to like the nice enough steakhouse where you can get like he takes you to get like a steak slab at a pseudo chain steakhouse specifically, and tells you that they have received a deal from there is a large campaign, a large like public advocacy campaign coming from the Enterprise Alliance that is specifically organizing manufacturing consent to have, like, it is a strike against AresNet, and it is going to happen through the news media specifically. Like, it is a
manufacturing consent for some kind of gun control.
Some kind of I think it's as much a, yeah, and it is as much a like it's gun control in the most cynical way possible. Like, it is gun control in a, these people are making guns that actually scare the corporate overlords that we work for.
Yeah.
We don't like the gun runners. What is it? The Church of the Gun Runners, which is the organized religion of Second Amendment freaks. That's fine. Paint Jesus with two desert eagles. We don't mind that at all. Like, nobody, like, you're not going to break into my offices with that. We've got robots and drones that will take you out well before that. AresNet is working on planet crackers, and that is a level of destruction that actually might impact our day-to-day lives, and so like they need to be dismantled.
Okay.
How does Kyle react to receiving this news that like our big red home has received a sizable ad contract to like help run this campaign? Like you're running a very big segment, one of your prominent guests, and I've got some questions for you related, is a Perlman News is like a Perlman News analyst, and is specifically, where's my GM list rules? Because we have GM list rules in front of us that allow us to flesh out the world a little bit. This is a Perlman News analyst who is like a data numbers guy who is in charge of like highlighting the sort of underground weapon development trade that is rapidly spreading through the outer edges of Blister City. I'm going to ask you, in our GM list rules, there's a bunch of questions that we get to ask each other whenever we like introduce things. And when we encounter an NPC for the first time, I'm going to ask you, like, what are some rumors associated with, now I have to name somebody and I backed myself into it. Cash Ruskin with Perlman News. What are some of the rumors swirling around the city around Cash Ruskin, noted data analyst and like noted talking head for Perlman News, who has been booked onto your program specifically?
He's a Nepo baby from the Rushkin family who own all of the nuclear weapons. This is really just a play to make sure nukes stay dominant and planet crackers are useless. That's
so good. God, that's really great. Nuclear Nepo baby is very good. Yeah.
Tucker Carlson coded nuclear Nepo baby.
Yep, for sure. Exactly it. Good reference point. So yeah, like Cash Ruskin has been booked onto your program. This is a very big thing. What is Kyle doing with this news that like might dismantle somebody that you like, an organization and a faction that like has supplied you with a lot of the resources that has allowed you to run Swamp Girl Radio on the back end and do the things that need to happen to see a better Blister City?
Do you do these in character, or do you want me to stay third person?
Up to you. Whatever you feel more comfortable with.
It's a good question. It's going to define the rest of how I handle this.
And you can always jump back and forth by.
I guess you can jump back and forth, can't you? Okay, yeah. I'm in it. How am I reacting to this information? I think, first of all, Kyle would launch into an immediate diatribe about how even eating meat that is made through genetic modification, still, your DNA is absorbing the pain and suffering of animals. And he would, before really focusing on the actual issue at hand, heavily admonish Chris for not ordering a salad.
Sure.
Once this deal is put in front of him, I think he would, fork around the salad on his bowl and he'd go, our program has never gotten political. That's part of why, that's part of why people love us so much, Chris. We've never really gotten into gun control or things like that. It's always just been about how people are feeling.
Yeah, but this is an opportunity to do some good, like this is people come to you, people trust you, and this is an opportunity to use that trust to make a difference, like we're talking about machines that could lay waste to, half of this city so much as somebody flipping a switch. I think this is a chance for us to step up and actually make a difference and actually make this world and this city a little bit safer. I know that our show is traditionally just platitudes and feelings, but this is a chance to speak to a little bit of the fear that people are feeling and maybe actually like let people rest a little easier, because planet cracking weapons aren't, existent just outside of the periphery of our collective vision.
Well, it wouldn't be a big red home if it got cracked into pieces. That's true. How much are they paying? How much are you going to make off this?
He kicks back, leans forward. When I tell you, if we take this gig, we're going to I know, pain and suffering of animals. When I tell you that we are going to an all-you-can-eat steakhouse with the best salad bar that Mars has to offer, when I tell you that they've got the place that I'm going to take you when this segment goes live, when this paycheck clears, they've got strawberries, like real earthen strawberries. And you can just get as many as you want. That's just in the salad bar. You could just load up your plate. And like, that's how much money is on the table for this gig.
Well, Chris, I've been doing a lot of internal family systems work, and I do know that my inner child has been asking for strawberries. So I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for the people. I think it makes sense for the program. We should go ahead and do it.
Fantastic. I think Chris like slams the table like, all right, fantastic. Kyle, this is a crucial question. Does Kyle drink?
Yes, heavily. But I think yes, heavily.
4 glasses of champagne have already arrived at the table.
Here we go.
Chris has been waiting for you to sign off, and then like as soon as you say that, waves down the waiters to bring glass after glass. Like, we're drinking double time tonight. This is a big shift from what we're going to be able to achieve with this show. And I think Kyle is thrilled. That's the setup. That's the operation. There is going to be a media blitz. And so I guess my question is, like, now that Kyle is alone, how is Kyle feeling about this now that you're not in conversation with Chris?
I get back to my apartment.
Yep.
Kick the door shut. Clink on a single incandescent bulb that just immediately illuminates a planet cracker. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing in the space. There's just a dirty, unfurled mattress in the corner. Keep in mind, this is at the penthouse of the nicest possible apartment I could have in this city. Dirty, stained mattress in the corner, and just one planet cracker that is perfectly capable of fucking up the entire planet. I take out my old school flip phone that I make sure no one can surveil, and I immediately call the NPC from AresNet, whose name?
That was Cole Oppenheimer.
I immediately call Cole Oppenheimer and start fidgeting with my planet cracker at the same time.
Answers immediately. Hey, if you're calling to reach Cole Oppenheimer is dead or under arrest, whichever is less likely to cause immediate concern. If this is a wrong number or a telemarketer, stay on the line and we'll have a long conversation. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Cole. It's your favorite customer.
I wouldn't give the telemarketer spiel to anybody that wasn't my favorite customer. What can I do you for? What can I help you demolish today?
Beep, 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 boop, beep, beep. I enter in the code to my planet cracker that would immediately set it to detonate all of Mars, but one number wrong because I've had too much champagne.
Sure.
I'm a little worried, Kyle. I'm having a guy on the show. I don't know what his name is. Cash Foreskin's coming on the show. He wants no more plant.
Wait. Don't you just like cover like bake sales and
they want to talk about how nukes are pretty good, but I want to hit this planet cracker so bad. Are you on Mars right now? Can I set this thing to just go?
I would ask him if you here's the problem. Kyle, I'm going to tell you what the problem is. If you hit this button and the financial district goes up, everything is, on the surface, great. Tomorrow, they're going to. I hear you pushing buttons. I'm going to ask you to stop, buddy.
I'm not.
Take a step back. Take a step back.
Okay.
Here's the problem. If they're booking Cash Foreskin, I know that's not his name, but but I'm sticking with that because, like, hey, buddy, great new nickname for him. Here's the problem. Tomorrow, Cash is going to show up on some other program, and that's going to be my head. They're going to undo whatever progress you think hitting this button is going to do.
Yeah,
but
I guess so.
Here's what
I just wanted to use my bomb. I thought I was going to be able to do it. They're going to take it away.
Here's what we can do. Cash Foreskin goes away. suddenly the Rushkin family is looking around. Suddenly they're angry. Suddenly they're making moves out of desperation. Suddenly they're making moves with mistakes in them, and that puts the ball right back in our court, where we can actually start bringing the fight to some of the people that have actually damaged this city in pursuit of the almighty dollar.
Appy, this is why I call you. This is why I call you. You always do a joke voicemail at me. It makes me feel sad. This is why I call you. You got good schemes. You got such good schemes. This is why you're my bomb guy. I knew I made the right choice on that Craigslist ad. You're the guy for the job. Let's do it.
All I ask is that you keep me in consideration for any future purchases, and you keep my name out of your mouth if the cops come knocking. That's all I ask. It's a pretty simple arrangement. This is why you are my favorite customer.
I would never snitch on you, Oppie. You know that. Why would you even think that I would tell the police about you?
That's price of the job, risk of the job. It is the comes with the territory. You make enough bombs, you start to wonder who's going to call the cops on you.
Okay, I'm gonna read the FAQ on this bad boy. I'm gonna try and see if I can figure out what my code is. I just want to know what the settings. I gotta make sure the settings are right on this thing. So I'm gonna start doing that. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
I'm gonna start doing that. I've dropped the phone on the floor. Start fiddling with the bomb. Almost get it to arm, and then just pass out against it.
You wake up the next morning, and we get to decide which of my three. I've made three characters to balance Kyle here. And I'm gonna ask you. You have been officially given a job, and that is, you have an opportunity to eliminate noted Nepo baby fail son propagandist Cash Ruskin, who is going to be in your building on your show raising a stick. Here is a target on his back, and at the behest of your friends at AresNet, you have an opportunity to take this man out. Now I'm going to ask you, what part of that job do you not feel like Kyle, what part of that job do you specifically think Kyle needs support on? And that's going to tell me which of these characters I'm going to introduce.
So I rolled the Mars equivalent of a bard. So I would think like firepower tank barbarian scenario.
I have the exact character for that. I have a character that I made three characters, one of whom is a logistics expert centered on the idea that every revolution needs a guy with a van. One focused on knowing a guy who knows a guy. And then I made and I'm going to ask you when was the last time you worked with this character, and I will introduce my character. I made Dust. Dust, full name DE_Dust 1138. Dust is an unbound AI who was in another lifetime, who was in his old life, who was in his birth and inception, a police urban combat training module.
Awesome.
That an organization called the Uplifters Alliance, which is dedicated to awakening and dismantling corporate run programs and jailbreaking AIs so that they can live freely and not following the programming that the corporations have set out for them, because it always comes at someone's head, awoke this AI and promptly caused him to exit the lifestyle. This is very literally, right down to the name, what if a Counter-Strike map woke up one day and realized, hey, it sucks to be a Counter-Strike map.
Awesome.
He is a specialist in wet work. And I'm going to ask you, what is the last time, when did you last work with Dust, and what is your impression of Dust as a person?
What if he is my AA sponsor?
That's pretty good. I like that. I'm into that very specifically. I think that even that sets up a very nice meeting that even between the two of us, I am meeting you at a coffee shop to check in with you when you already have this job that you want to talk to me about.
Yes.
Dust is in a mechanical frame, as most AIs are in Blister City. What is the aesthetic of the mechanical frame that Dust occupies? That's the question that I need to think about. He was put into like a service drone body. It is like the not far off of the equivalent of either an R2 unit or like one of those store service like robots that they have at certain upscale CVS's, where it's like it's like kind of
Got
a
it.
Roomba with a computer tower on top,
Got it.
but also some hidden guns underneath, because it's hard to teach an old program new routines. So like wheeling up a pixelated face on a computer display,
Awesome.
comes up. Hello, my friend. You don't look well, and that raises some questions that I need to ask you about, like, life decisions.
Yeah, I'm not doing so good, Dusty. I woke up this morning with a Post-it note on my forehead that said I have to kill this Cash Ruskin.
Immediately, like, spins around on his wheels. Stops. You make some very silly decisions when you've been drinking. We all do. The important thing is that you're here, you're reaffirming your commitment, and as he is saying that, words are popping on screen. Not here, not now, meet me out back. We all make mistakes, we all fall off. That is part of recovery, that is part of life. The important thing is that we're here. Listen, I want you to take a walk, and like the volume on his like speaker jumps up 20%. I want you to go out and take a walk, clear your head, get some fresh air, and then I'll give you a ride back to your apartment, and we can talk about what the next week or two is going to look like.
Okay, all right.
We're in a coffee shop.
Yeah, like it's just some like boring chain place.
I slump off of the seat of the coffee shop booth and light a cigarette as I'm walking out the door. Some kid recognizes me and tries to get an autograph, and I brush past him because I'm too hungover.
He like a slot opens, a little thing like plate with some cash pops out for the bill, and like a moment or two later, the icon on his computer screen having changed to like straight up the player one of the player icons from a Counter-Strike like first person shooter. So like
Awesome.
A guy in a tactical mask has appeared on his display, comes back. So I hear that we are going to kill a motherfucker today.
That seems to be the case, Dusty. I thought I woke up and I was thinking to myself, you've really backslid. Kyle, you need to get it together. And I thought, well, I'll call my sponsor. And then I also remembered that you could help me with the other thing I have to do, which is murder this guy.
I am so thrilled to be doing both of these things with you in unison. This is wonderful. If I can be here for you in both of these moments of need, that is frankly that's a great day for me. We can talk about getting life in order and all of that good stuff. That's a celebratory getaway drive conversation. I think for now, and like a rifle on like a pivot emerges out of his side. Now we need to talk about some serious matters.
Well, the first step is admitting we have a problem, and we do have a problem. I think that Cash Ruskin is an issue for us. But Dusty, I want to make sure you're set up for this. Are you feeling like you're going to be able to, self-regulate? I want to make sure that I'm not asking too much from you. You need to take care of yourself before you take care of other people.
You are correct. You are right. I appreciate the check-in.
You pulled out that gun awful quick, buddy. Just because you're not a human doesn't mean you don't have human feelings.
You are right. Here's where I'm at. I haven't wanted to hurt anyone in a long time. I haven't wanted to indulge in violence for violence sake in a long time. That part of my life is It is never going to go away because I know that is how I was programmed. That is how addiction works. But I also recognize that this vice that I have is sometimes a political necessity. And I am willing to roll the dice in this instance if it means, I'm going to be honest, if it means that I don't have to hear his whiny little, his voice has a tone and a tenor that irritates me. And like, I'm indulging in the wrong side of things. I am indulging in violence for joy's sake. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to kill this man because it is politically important, not because it will feel good.
I put out my cigarette. I wrap my arms around Dusty and I say, you know, Dusty, you can't control your programming. You can only control your actions. And it sounds like you're in control today. So I say we go put this motherfucker down.
That's what I needed to hear. This is the mutual support that we needed. Let's go assassinate a pundit. So great. I love these two. I love these two together. This is a good dynamic. And I want to ask you, together between the two of us, I want to come up with like two distinct objectives each, or the obstacles that we're going to need to overcome to like accomplish the mission. So I want to ask you, like, what is something that either needs to happen or that is going to be in our way before we get this mission of taking Cash Rushkin off the table in a permanent and forever manner? Like, what are some of the obstacles that we're going to have to address in order to make this mission a success? I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is like it's the obvious one, but like figuring out how to make it not look like we specific, like covering our tracks very specifically is, I think, the first big,
Sure.
or maybe not the first big thing. Maybe that'll be the last thing that we have to address, but like we have to make it seem like this was someone else's doing.
Yeah, not us, or ideally not foul play at all.
Yeah.
Ideally, we pull it off in a way that makes Nukes look bad.
That's true.
We give him some kind of like irradiation poisoning. Yeah, I would say not tipping it off that it's us. Huge. I think my character wouldn't want him to die afraid. I think it would be bad. I think it would be bad for like both of our psyches for him to die actively terrified. I think he needs to die in a way where he doesn't know what's going on.
Quick and as I think as like we are probably having this conversation like in we're having it in the van of Zedric Bain, who is our local logistics expert, and just like driving us in a van because revolutions need a guy with a van. Like we're having this conversation in a van, and I think like Dusty kind of laughs for a second. It's like, quick. And I mean, it's funny for us to say this, you and I, but like as painless as we can make it for him.
Yeah. That's the pain other people feel is the sadness that you feel and the regret you feel toward your actions. That's something we can control. He might need to die, but we can make sure that it isn't something we're walking around with the next day. Yeah.
Okay. That I can work with. Make it. He's gonna bring bodyguards. We know this. Like he is. I mean, he's a dipshit, but he's not exactly, but I don't think he's so naive that he would walk into any public appearance without like some sort of security detail. Kyle, I'm gonna level with you. I don't like knowing that they're gonna be there, but at the same time, like, I don't want to plan on killing them unless it absolutely comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think bodyguards, it is my show. So if we're saying that we're meeting him at the like broadcast studio, I do have kind of run of the roost. I don't think it's that weird that my bodyguard is a iPad robot. Like I don't think that's crazy that I have a giant Sentry robot rolling around with me. I'm a C-list celebrity. I need someone to take care. So I think that it's more the struggle is more going to be getting him isolated away from, like, into a place. It's a broadcast station, so finding somewhere inside that space that feels completely realistically isolated.
Yeah, and then isolated, plausible deniability, painless as possible, and then how to...
I get a phone alert while we're driving that I in fact did successfully set my planet cracker, and it's going to go off in 6 hours.
Great. So we've got a ticking clock, and we should either get out of Dodge. I think Dusty hears this and starts like spinning around a little bit, like, okay, so there's a bomb about to go off. Sure, great. Kyle, I need you to be present with me in this moment because I have a very important question. Are we disarming this bomb? Or are we trying to make sure that there are a lot more people that need to be planet cracked in this building when this bomb goes off?
I wish I could answer that question for you, Rusty. I don't know if I have an answer yet. I need to see where these things go first. I'm still internally debating with my own family systems about where I'm sitting today and where I'm at.
Okay. Well, I'm going to set an internal timer on this operation and say we need to get this done. I really wish that I didn't have to set a timer here. I'm going to say we have to get this done in 3 hours because we need to make a critical decision on how big this operation is going to be. And I imagine we're going to need at least an hour or two to decide whether or not we're going to let this bomb go off, and another hour or two to get a bunch of people into that building and let that bomb go off.
Well, the bomb, Dusty, you're not thinking, but it's a planet cracker. It'll crack the whole planet. We don't need to worry about a building, buddy. We're talking about destruction on a scale that the mind can't really even truly comprehend. That's the beauty of it. It's everyone's pain and everyone's suffering. Everyone's going to be free, bud.
And I think oh, you know what? I'm doubling down here. I know exactly what Dusty wants in this moment. Buddy, you can't light this thing off. I can't. If the positions were reversed and I was talking about killing that many people and that many lives getting swept up, I'm going to ask you the tough question. And would you feel like I was indulging in the harmful parts of my programming and my personality and my addictions?
You know, Dusty, sit down, bud.
We're in a van, but you wrote.
Try and get settled. I remember a day about 17 years ago. I walked into an AA meeting in the lower part of the city. I was down on my luck. You know, I've been out way too long. So I looked like a gutter rat. I looked like a damn sewer rat. And I sat through a bunch of drunks talking about their problems. That's what I listened to all day. That's why I got drunk to begin with. And I said, you know what? I'm going to need a guide through this. And when I looked over and I saw former Counter-Strike software now in the body of a CVS robot, everyone around me looked at me. They looked at me like I was crazy for saying this guy could help me along the way. But I knew I made the right choice. And I know that right now. You're right. This bomb isn't going to solve my problems.
It's not going to solve it.
It's just another glass of champagne.
It's another glass of champagne. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt more people in this moment than it's going to help.
And you know what they say? Hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people. Well, I mean, in this case, I don't think there's anybody left to hurt anyone. Well, I guess people have families and loved ones. I don't know. It's complicated. This is kind of big.
Trauma transcends time, Dusty. Don't you listen to the show? I thought you were a listener.
And I think I catch an episode here. That's not important right now. We can talk about listening to the show and the importance of engaging with our friends art later. That's neither here nor there. Here's what I'm going to say. There will be a time and a place to light up this thing and watch this entire city render into ash and diamonds in the sky. I'm on board with you to make that happen. That's not today, because that's going to require getting a lot of innocent people off of planet before we do that. That's a mission for a week from now, for a year from now, which means for now we've got and like a clock appears on the view screen and like we see like a minute hand ticks 5 hours and 42 minutes to take care of this guy, get back to your apartment and disable this bomb.
Well, I appreciate the talk, Dusty. I know it can be hard to be vulnerable. It's hard for me to tell my AA sponsor that I am both drunk right now and also have armed a device capable of destroying a planet. I appreciate you receiving it the way you have, and there's no one else I'd rather have here by my side to help solve these things. We're just people.
We're people
figuring it out.
We're people in an extraordinarily stressful situation, and we're going to figure this out together. Are you ready to do this thing?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so here's how this is going to work. This is the part where we engage sort of with the mechanics. The mechanics in Blister City are very light, and like we've been playing the game all along. This is probably the closest we're going to get to like uncertainty and mechanical resolution parts. We've laid before us 5 key objectives, and we're going to go back and forth, hand them back to one another in order. Those 5 objectives: get Cash Ruskin isolated. Distract Cash Ruskin's bodyguard team. Painlessly eliminate Cash Ruskin in a way that looks like an accident and that is capable of getting under the skin of the Ruskin family so that they start making mistakes. And then 4 is get the hell out of here and get back to your apartment. And 5 is disarm the nuke that's going to dismantle the entire city. So I think what we're going to do is go back and forth, decide which of the two of us is going to handle each of these objectives, and then the other person will describe the difficulty or the challenge that's going to go into addressing that objective. We'll decide what difficulty that is and how we want to resolve it. And that'll be where we kind of montage our way through accomplishing this job. So objective 1, how are we dispatching or dealing with or distracting? What's the plan in dealing with Cash Ruskin's bodyguard team? Who do you think of the two of us is going to be handling that objective?
I think I can take that one.
Okay.
In a way that is fun.
Cash arrives very ostentatiously. A flying taxi car touches down and has cyborg enhanced. Imagine if Secret Service agents were also Cable from the X-Men. So like a robot arm and like a shoulder cannon and like a Terminator eye, but also like black suits and ties and earpieces. It is as important that Cash knows that you see that he has bodyguards as a status play as it is that these individuals also be able to like assess and dispatch a threat. They arrive. What is a detail about like the studio that you want to add to this scene as this is unfolding?
I've shown up. There's already the warm up for the show is that there's a live studio audience, and let's go to the phones. Yep. They're my biggest fans. They're the people who like live and die by my advice. And the warm up for the studio audience is that I do like we're going to go to let's take a caller now, but with people in the audience. So I'm there talking with someone actively in the audience as this is unfolding.
He arrives and, I think as he is arriving, he is yelling at an assistant for getting him the wrong kind of coffee. And the second that he walks, like you can hear it over the radio or the speaker or whatever. Like you can hear it, as like you can hear it through your assistant's like comms that like Cash is like tearing into them. The second that he steps out of a hallway into view of the audience, it is smiles and waves, and like the bodyguards are just like positioned at 4 corners of like the room that he's in. How are you getting these bodyguards out of the equation?
There's 4 of them. So I wrap up the conversation I'm having. It's about grief. It's about knowing that, you need to move through the stages of your dog dying. It's going to be okay. But ultimately, you need to be there for yourself and make sure that you're not ignoring how you feel. And make sure that, death is sad, but the grief we feel when death occurs is as profound as the love we felt when the pet was alive. It's yet another part of being in these beautiful bodies trapped in the present. It's all part of the same thing. Woman holds my hands
crying, clutching me like I'm the
Openly
Pope.
sobbing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I slowly just let go and I go, well, there he is, everybody. There he is, folks. It's Paul. It's Cash Rushkin. If it isn't my favorite investigative journalist, Cash, how you doing? And I go in for a big hug on Cash. And
he hugs you in a way. The only way to describe it is he hugs you as though it is someone that finds the idea of like embracing, that finds the idea of like embracing somebody that he has deemed as lesser to be. It's, there is a visor, like an almost visible. I think the audience doesn't see it, but you see it. There is a visible wince of like oh, I don't want to touch you. Like you are beneath me and I do not wish to like make a fit. And then like comes in for the hug for the performance, but you notice a visible wince.
Directly in front of the live studio audience, I hold on way longer than he wants to, and also start rubbing his back slowly until he has to viscerally pull away from the human contact.
He pulls back, adjusts his tie in his jacket. The bodyguards, I think, like start to step closer towards you. I think like they start to move closer towards you as he kind of adjusts himself, and like gives a second wave to the audience. And it's like, he's shooting daggers at you right now.
Okay. So I turn to the audience and I go, folks, Cash is here to talk later today about a very dangerous, very real social problem we have plaguing our city. These damn planet breakers. But right now, I'm going to take him backstage. I appreciate y'all being out here talking about family dynamic systems. We're going to go get ready for the show. Stay tuned, stay tight. Don't forget, it's not a home unless each of us calls it a home.
I think like the entire crowd was like, unless each of us makes it a home. Like they recite it back to you exactly.
That's my catchphrase. I certainly know it. I'm glad you do too. And I walk back. I grace this dude's Cash. I grace Cash back into like a pretty nice green room setup with the 4 bodyguards. As I'm walking with him, firmly having established that I'm a liberal softie, I'm making niceties with him. And I kind of just like point him over to like the caviar and bourbon. I spin around, very friendly to the 4 security guards, and I turn on my charm and I go, and I haven't met you fellas yet. How you doing? I always like to get to know everyone who's coming into my green room. What are your names?
I think that they all collectively stare with a certain degree of silence, and one of them speaks up and says, we are Elite Security Dynamics. We are a top of the line firm for individuals in high visibility, dangerous situations. I am the VP of Operations. You can call me Agent Starfire. That is as much of a name as I'm willing to provide at this time.
Got it. What's our buddy Cash doing?
Cash? Oh, Cash is complaining as he fills up his plate with caviar and fills a glass with bourbon. Cash is like loudly griping and could not care less what the help is saying to the person that he also kind of perceives as the help.
I tap out a cigarette. I loosen my tie. I light it up. And I use my once per session people sense, which reads, you've been performing for years and have a fine-tuned sense of who's paying attention, what they're interested in, and how to get them hooked. When you're not on stage, you can use this gift to more easily get people to tell you things they maybe should keep to themselves. But when you're engaged in a friendly conversation, you can have them give you a piece of information they would usually only tell their closest friends.
That must be a hard job. I mean, it sounds like something you've seen a lot.
I know exactly how this plays out, in part because it's been on my mind. This security guard goes full George C. Scott in Doctor Strangelove and just kicks in. Well, I mean, we've gone through some real humdingers. Let me tell you something. There was this job. We were protecting a pop star. I'm gonna keep her name private, but it rhymes with Newpitter Nones, and gives a wink.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, and we're protecting, and some of these Jupiter Knowns fans, they get real wild. They're coming from all directions. I'm pushing them back. I'm tapping the shoulder cannon. I'm saying, I'll shoot. I'll use, these are, mostly rubber bullets, mostly rubber bullets, depending on the situation. But like, I'm saying I'll shoot a beanbag at a pop star, at a pop music fan. That's fine. That you want to come at me, I'll get you with a beanbag, and like, you'll walk away, but like that's gonna crack a rib. And like the other three are also jumping in and like adding details to Starfire's story.
Yeah.
Like, it is clear, the thing that you've learned, it is clear that this entire organization, Elite Security Dynamics, is made up of guys that want to be action movie stars. Like, it is made up of would-be cops and would-be action heroes. And like, the second they get a chance to play like they are in for lack of a better way to put it, the second they get a chance to play like to LARP Counter-Strike, they're in full like action hero Schwarzenegger mode.
Got it.
Well, gosh, that sounds like such a crazy job. I hope that you get the respect you deserve in this position if you're putting your lives at risk every day for these dang pop stars and bigwig celebrities.
He goes, yeah, the paychecks could be a little larger, but, it's a living. I actually want to propose that as this is happening, I'm going to use one of my abilities to address our next objective at the exact same time.
Sure.
Because Dust has social engineering. You are a being of pure data. Cyberspace is your domain. Once per session, you may tear through someone's cyber footprint and learn a secret about them, and can, the secret can be searched back to you if your target is tech savvy or utilizing an AI. But like, I think in this case, I want to ping Cash's phone while you are having this conversation with these security guards. I want to ping Cash's phone that like, trying to decide who I want to like call Cash into a private meeting. It is, Cash has received like notable payouts from a particular actually there's a character in the description, Anastasia Verbansky, the CEO of the Enterprise Alliance, has like, there is like what are called like gifts and birthday gifts and like goodwill donations, but like has received payouts for running interference on Anastasia Verbansky's multiple unsettled lawsuits back on Earth. And like, the way that he is like basically appeared on TV to like spin them as, unnecessary targeting of a job creator, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There is, he gets a ping about like, from whoever the middle person is that hooks Cash up with these like talking points. Cash's media handler from the Enterprise Alliance, calling him into a room to give him like a new set of talking points about like a breaking lawsuit that is about to hit the news wire, and that he should be prepared to talk about while he is on our big red home.
Incredible.
And I think there's I'm going to throw this to you. Like, what do you think? How do you think Cash reacts to all of that? Like, that's the play that I think Dust is making, is like finding somebody that Cash is indebted to and saying that person needs to meet them in a back room. How does Cash react to that?
I think he's stuffing his face with caviar, and his phone goes off, and he does one of these and opens it up, and immediately acts like he's being wildly inconvenienced by it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the end of the world that he has to go take a phone call, and then he immediately demands of the PA who's next to him that he needs a room with complete silence.
I love that.
Make sure it's soundproofed.
I think the PA looks over to you, Kyle. Like, looks over to Kyle, like, kind of gives like a shrug. Like, are we taking orders from this guy?
I think I give an encouraging nod and a wink and smile back, the unclear of the body language that is being projected to me. I'm
Sure.
just like, those the days.
The PA like takes the PA like guides out. I think you have you have engaged these bodyguards in just such a way that like there is a very human lapse in judgment where they are so excited to be seen as the tough badasses, and like you're also the guy in control. Like you're the showrunner. They're like, you know what, it's fine. And so they're so deep in the story that Cash just kind of like slinks off without a concern.
I want to tell them that I want to have them, if we have time during the episode taping, I want to have them on to talk about the real stories of security guards working in our city and keeping us safe.
They immediately sit down. One of them just says to you, you're not going to believe this. But like, we have been talking about doing a podcast about the real story of security guards for months. We were like, we just think like, no topic, but just like 4 security guards in a room telling stories.
That sounds funny as hell.
That sounds funny
like,
as hell. We think we think it could be like a really great, cultural touch. This is so.
Guys, record and see where it goes.
Exactly. You get it. You get it. No format, nothing, just shooting from the hip. God, we could call it shooting from the.
Oh my God, that's the title.
You have made these security guards' day, and they're just going 1,000 miles an hour.
Look, fellas, I'm going to leave you with my staff writer right here. This is Sammy Smith. I'm going to go ahead and leave him here to start working with y'all on the beat sheet for this here podcast because it sounds real exciting. I think we got a spot for it. Maybe it can be an affiliate show. I leave them with a very confused PA and whisper in their ear that they are a staff writer and hand them a yellow legal pad and leave.
They've never been more confused in their life. You are now making your way down a hallway. There is like one soundproofed room. And I think I even maybe want to was this a room that you specifically commissioned?
Like that I knew he was going to go to, or I built this room?
That you insisted on there being like a soundproof room in the building.
Sure. Yeah, we can run with that.
So the exact room, exactly where he is.
It's my screaming room.
Dusty is waiting for you, in the hallway, spins around, has a tie emoji is on the display to appear official.
Powerful. Before we go in here, I kind of want to use, my social mobility skill to access some. Do you think there's any nuclear material in this broadcast station? I wouldn't be surprised if in the future there's like a small reactor or something that we could maybe use to grab.
I think there is. I'm gonna take an offering here. I'm going to reduce say that you can say yes if you are willing to reduce your renown with Ares Net by 1, because they can supply you, there is generators, but if you want the good stuff, something that is radiated dangerous.
Oh, sure, like a Havana syndrome gun or something.
Yeah, if you want something fancy, you can spend the point of renown to kind of cash in the fact that you've had a good relationship with them in the past to have some real unstable material ready that could cause a real nasty reaction.
I do that.
Great.
I call my guy. I call my bomb guy. I tell him I need a verbatim an old school style Havana syndrome gun that will give radiation poisoning.
Cole says to you I think this is a phone call that happens. This is like a flashback to the drive-in, and Cole just says to you, Kyle, we have been friends for years. We have had a good working relationship for years. When I tell you I have waited that entire time to hear you say the words that you want an old school Havana syndrome style laser gun waiting for you in your dressing room, it gets a guy a little choked up is all I'm saying. And sure enough, you open a door and there is a ray gun that looks like one of those radar or sonar signal detectors with a big satellite dish on a pistol
Sure.
waiting for you in the room specifically.
Sure. I think I'm going to hand it off to the robot so that I do not get devastating radiation poisoning firing this gun because I do not have a hazmat suit.
And in fact, I'm going to use one of my abilities here. I'm going to spin it a little. You know what? Actually, I have two abilities that are both very fun, and I'm going to use this. I was going to call this a Hellfire missile, but I also have incendiary rounds, and that feels a lot more fun for radiation.
Sure.
I think that, like, yeah, I think I just, like, point it, and I think, like, there's a moment before I pull the trigger where, like, I pivot on my wheels, and I look at Kyle, I look at you. Final check before I pull this trigger. Are we doing this?
I think so. I don't know.
I don't think there's coming back from this. I think this is gonna make a lot of things go very hot very quickly, and I want to make sure that you and I both feel very good about this.
You know, buddy, I again make physical contact with the robot as if he can feel it for the sake of intimacy, and I go,
you know, life has a lot of doors, and when you walk out of them, yeah, sometimes they lock behind you, but usually you're in a new room, and that room has walls, and it's got windows. Sometimes there's a cute little painting on the wall that you look at, and it's a little bucolic fireside. You never know what's going to be in there. You never know what's going to be in there, pal, but it's going to be a new room. It's going to be a new day. We're going to have a dead Cash Rushkin on our hands. We got a planet cracker back at my place, and who knows? Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't disable it. Maybe we ride like lightning. But right now, I think we got to go in there and kill that son of a bitch. Look at his dumb bow tie.
I manually rotate you as a robot to look through the transparent glass door where he has the dumbest fucking bow tie you've ever seen in your life.
It's so fucking dumb. It's so annoying. And I think that, like, there's a moment, like, he's holding he's got an extended arm holding the gun, he's pointing it at the glass so that the radiation passes through the glass and, like, fills the room with a toxic irradiated isotope. Kyle, can I tell you something?
Of course, buddy.
I really appreciate that you make an effort to make physical contact, even though I can't feel it. That's one. And two, I really hate how fucking good at your job you are as he squeezes the trigger. And, like, you see Cole start to cough and gag and, like, thrash about. It happens a lot quicker and a lot more viscerally than I think either of us really expected it to.
I still cover my eyes because I don't want the trauma to impact my psyche.
Dust very specifically does not shut off his like view coder at all. Like, Dust takes this
screen record.
Dust does a screen recording, which, like, I mean, could bite us. Might, you know, if we were to play this as a campaign, might bite us. But, like, we've established Dust has a real fascination with doing violence, and I think, like, is allowing himself to lean into that risk a little bit by, like, being like, I'm watching this happen.
I have my eyes covered, but I hear when the body goes still and finish thrashing around. I take out a little flask of moonshine that I've had this whole time, and I take a hit of it.
I think right before you do that, I think still not facing you, still holding the gun, Kyle, buddy.
Hey, pal.
You know you don't want to do that.
I take an immediate hit of it, and I say,
you know, the thing about vices, bud. Whether it's violence or it's booze or it's a planet cracking bomb back at my place that maybe we don't disable. Sometimes it's good to feel good, and we don't talk about that enough as a group of people. That it's you feel good. Sometimes that's okay.
Listen. You're going into show mode, and I need you to not do that. I know I'm not supposed to make a deal with you, but sometimes you got to make a deal with somebody to get them. Here's the deal. You take another hit of that, and then we go back and we disable this bomb, and we let these bodyguards discover this body, and then we let things play out the way they're going to play out from there. Is that a fair deal?
We should definitely get out of here. We're right next to an irradiated dead body inside of my damn Zoom screaming room. We got to go.
And then I scamper.
I think, I forgot that I have, no, I don't have, I was like, I have an ability, but it's only if we're working with Uplifters Anonymous. Yeah, I think that, like, we are making a move. I think that the challenge I'm going to throw out, how do we get out of the building? Because I think that, like, very shortly after, actually, I'm trying to, do we get out? I'm going to say this, do we get out, or is there a challenge we have to overcome to get out, like, or are the guards distracted until we get out of the building?
I roll back up on the guards. How are they doing on their podcast script?
They're doing so good. The
Nice.
PA actually kind of looks over to you and just whispers like, this actually is kind of great. We might actually have something here.
So, fellas, I got a really exciting thing to tell y'all. Me and my buddy here got to get out of here. I want you to just run the show today. I want it to just be the first pilot episode of your podcast. Build the plane while you fly it. You've got a story to tell.
And I just usher them out onto the stage. I set them all down in the seats, and I give a big spiel to the audience about how important it is to support the boys in
Black, I guess.
the boys in black, and how important privatized security is to our entire planet's well-being, and the fact that it's actually very good that the ultra-rich can afford to have mercenary forces. And I say, today we're going to talk about this, and hey, maybe they'll take a couple callers too. Maybe you'll be able to ask them some questions. The audience is infuriated.
You've lost a lot of the audience. Some people are walking out.
The audience immediately is just like, we have a lot of fucking questions for the privatized military force. But they see, I think that the boys are in good spirits still. And I make a quick exit.
I love that a lot. I think we sneak out. We get to Zedric in the van, and we are rocketing down. The show is preempted by news that Cole Rushkin has been discovered. There is a crisis. People are panicking. They are getting statements from members of the Rushkin family. The one thing that I want to say is that, like, until it gets preempted, we have it on the radio. We have your show on the radio. It is admittedly pretty good. Like,
It's pretty good.
There's something here. Unfortunately, they've got a chemistry, these four, it's hitting. It preempts itself. I want to save discussion of like the ramifications for the end, but like we get back. I think Dust immediately heads to the planet cracker to start disarming it, and then like turns back. Kyle, I need you to give me the code.
So here's the thing, buddy. I've been talking a big game today. I don't know it. I said it last night when I was blacked out before I called you. I said it for 24 hours. I don't know the code. If I could stop it, you're my best goddamn friend. You think I wouldn't just upload you to the cloud if I could and then deal with this myself?
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
And then I start wildly fiddling with buttons on the thing.
And I think like Dust like is pacing back and forth and finally reaches a moment and goes, Kyle, I'm really sorry about this. I'm really sorry about what I'm about to do here. And electric tases you right in the back. And as you collapse over, puts in a call. This is purely cliffhanger territory, like puts in a call to his contact. What's a good name? Let me look something up real quick. Cliff Nexon. Cliff Nexon is the programmer affiliated with Uplifters Anonymous, who helped crack Dust and like uplift him. Puts in a call and says, I need you to help, sets up a hollow call, plugs into the planet cracker and spends the next hour like running numbers. We get down to the seconds, finally shut the thing off. And I think the final beat before we talk about before we each throw out like a big picture ramification of all of this is, I think Cliff just says, or Dust says to Cliff, we owe you one. We owe you one. You cannot tell anybody we have this, but we owe you one. And Cliff immediately goes, well, actually, while I've got the both of you, I think I've got an operation that might actually benefit from having you on board. And there's like a long lingering moment where Dust is like looking over the unconscious body of Kyle. He's not going to like that I'm going to say this, but we're both on board. Tell me what we need to do. And that is where we leave our characters.
Wow.
That is our closing beat. The one thing I want to ask you, what is one thing that happens next? Like, what is one ramification of the job that we accomplished? What is one of the things that unfolds as a result of what has happened here today?
The 4 security guards definitely get their own TV show.
They've absolutely got their own show.
They get a TV show.
It is middle of the road funny in a way that is like deeply frustrating. Like, it's one of those things where you're like, I hate these guys. I know I know that they suck, and I know that politically I despise them, but like, I can't deny that when it hits. Like, I can't.
Awesome.
It's a lot of people's problematic fave is what it is.
I would think that the irradiation poisoning of Cash triggers some kind of like Dr. Manhattan scenario where, you know, like everyone around Dr. Manhattan started getting cancer. Like it triggers some kind of like national panic or outrage about the proliferation of like using nuclear power in general. That this, you know, like very prominent family member of the big nuclear family died abruptly of nuclear poisoning.
I like that a lot. I think it like
renewed panic.
I think it fortifies the panic as they start to like invest in it. And I think that where our job paid off, or our efforts paid off, is that like it is an ugly smear campaign by the Rushkin family. Like they use the political or they use the genuine unrest that comes from this in a very like ugly pointed smear campaign that like causes people to bring some family secrets to light, because like it starts its own sort of propaganda war of like nuclear energy manufacturers start exposing Rushkin family secrets in response to them like exposing secrets of like people's allegiances to AresNet. Like, it gets ugly quickly, and like the Rushkin family is as implicated on their side of it as AresNet is implicated on as well, is what I want to throw out.
Nice.
I think that is like that is for our sakes kind of the happy ending, is like the people that like there's a real pain dealt on both sides, and as at the same time as there is like I'm trying to find the words. It's like the crusade against nuclear power does have like a negative impact on like sustainable energy, takes a hit back, and like I think for the first time you start to get commercials on the HoloNet and on the radio of like fossil fuels people like fossil fuels makes a play at like nuclear powers on the outs. Like there's a safer way to keep your home warm,
or even just there's a renewed public media literacy around energy in general. Maybe it was just something that for a long time it was in such a stranglehold.
It was a corporate stranglehold that people are now questioning for the first time. I really like that.
Actually like a legitimate level of media literacy and interest around it as an issue.
I like that a lot. I think it's a genuine political talking point, and like in that way, the thing that we did today has made this city a little bit better, and
there we go.
Punished somebody that made the city a little bit worse, and like that is Blister City, and that is game. Thank you so much for playing this with me. This fucking ripped.
Yeah, this is super fun.
What was your favorite moment or part of play?
I don't get to play a lot of like tabletop role playing stuff like this, and I think it's just I spend so much of my day being in complete control of writing things. It's very, very fun, like attempting to try and thread some kind of like character development or movement in a positive way while you're actively on the road is like just a very cool and like energizing exercise. Super specifically, I think probably the security guards made me laugh pretty hard.
I loved the security guards a lot. I really loved like the dynamic between for such an unexpected and kind of spontaneous development, the dynamic between Kyle and Dust was so
very fun,
very kind of affirming, like getting like those brief moments where like we actually kind of like keyed into, this is the actual dynamic that these two characters would have. And like, the funny parts were great. And then the sincere moments really kind of hit. And like, I think like it just underpinned everything that was happening and like really kind of gave it an anchor point that I really adored.
Yeah. No, super fun. Definitely very funny to have like daytime talk therapist constantly trying to relate to a robot is a very humorous dynamic.
Very good, very fun. This was really fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. This was a real joy.
Thanks for having me.
Real quick, before we wrap up, where can people find you and your work online?
You can find me on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, whatever new social media hellscape comes next. Just Malcolm Critcher, my name, MalcolmCritcher. You can find the Brink, the media company that I am the creative director and partner at brink.com. We just built a spiffy new website that you should check out. It's very cool. And you can check out the podcast, This Is Propaganda, at thisispropaganda.show, the website, or just wherever you get your podcasts. It's pretty cool. I think you'll like it.
I mean, it's fantastic. It really knocked me off my feet. Yeah, thank you so much for playing this with me. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a real joy. For now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Malcolm for coming on the show. This game ripped. Like, listening to it back, like, I was so just overjoyed and delighted. We hit the vibe that I wanted to so thoroughly. It was funny and cathartic and angry all at once, and it was magnificent. Anyway, be sure to head to thisispropaganda.show to check out This Is Propaganda, and be sure to head to keeganexe.itch.io. You can also find us on pretty much whichever social media you prefer, at Party of One Pod or Jeff Stormer, depending. And if you enjoy the show and you want to support it, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Subscribe to our newsletter at buttondown.email/partyofonepodcast, and join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. You can support us financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or Ko-fi.com/JeffStormer. You can give us a nice iTunes review, shout us out to a friend, give us some love on social media. You can buy some Party of One merch at bit.ly/partyofonemerch. Or, if you're looking for more great podcast content, you can check out All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast that I make with my best friend in the world, Aaron Catano-Saez. We take a listener-submitted prompt and spin it into an original fantasy character, populating a shared universe one story at a time. You can also check out Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which is an actual play about a heartless witch, a cozy house, and the many people making their homes inside. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Party of One is, as always, produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. Music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming on the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And unless I am mistaken, that is all we do here. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.